and welcome to the No Flipping Excuses Show.
Don't touch that.
This is the #1 podcast for real estate investing, and each episode covers what you need to know to find and flip deals right now.
Wow!
Break free of the chains that are holding you back and join us on today's episode. Hey, what's going on? It's Jason Lucchese with the No Flipping Excuses Show. I am so happy that you're here with us. I hope everyone out there right now is safe and healthy during these very weird and challenging times. And what I wanted to do today is I brought a very awesome guest on here. I've known him since 2012, so a very long time. Mr. Kent Clothier. Kent, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, brother. How about you?
I am hanging in there. Things are actually, I shouldn't say it. Things are actually really good. Blessed, and just things are good, man. I know we talked a little offline. You and the fam are doing some cool stuff. How's things going in your world?
Good. A couple days ago, just decided I'd had enough. So rented an RV, threw everybody in the car and said, let's go. So we just started driving. So out on the road right now. Nice.
Well, I asked for, we set this all up. I really wanted to put this together because we've been having a lot of folks wonder about, real estate right now. And you're kind of the main guy that coined that term, reverse wholesaling. And I wanted you to come on because I firmly believe that's a huge part. People need to know what that is in today's market. So let me ask you this. How did you come about reverse wholesaling?
It actually came to me from a previous business, right? So part of my story is that when I was a kid, like in my 20s, from 17 to 30, I built a really successful arbitrage business. And where we buy and sell truckloads of groceries, believe it or not, kind of on the gray market. And so, when I was 23, we were doing $50 million a year. When I was 27, it was $800 million a year. By the time I was 30, we were doing almost $2 billion a year. And in that business, it's very, very common, and you'll see where the commonalities come in here, is very, very common that a truckload of some item, some product, a manufacturer has produced some excess inventory and they want to sell it. And so they kind of offer it to guys like me. And we're all out there running up and down the streets trying to sell the exact same thing effectively to all the same buyers. And so we're basically competing. It's a race to zero.
Right.
Who's willing to pay the most for it and who's willing to sell it at the cheapest. And so everybody's getting pinched. And so why I became, I guess, famous or infamous in that industry is that, as a young kid, I just questioned everything. And in that business, I just got tired of doing it the way everybody else did it. I was like, man, these guys are willing to give us millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to buy product from us. Why don't we just ask them what they want to buy and how much they want to buy of it, when they want us to deliver it, what price they're willing to pay for it, and then just go find it instead of waiting for a manufacturer to call us. And so that's kind of how the whole thing started. Basically, we started going around and asking all the major wholesalers and retailers in the country, people like, Kroger and Albertsons and Safeway and Vons and Publix and you name it.
Yeah.
If I could sell you anything at any price, what do you want? And then suddenly we had effectively a shopping list. And so we would spend all of our time backing into exactly what we needed to buy and what we could afford to pay for it, and et cetera, et cetera. And that's how we went from $800 million in 1997 to $1.8 billion by the end of 1999, just by one little switch, right? And so when I got into the grocery wholesaling game, I was, successful like a lot of people. They basically did it the way everybody else has been doing it. But I needed a way to automate it. I needed a way to spend more time with my family. I needed a way to kind of, unplug a little bit and create some predictable outcomes. And then the light bulb just went off. It was one of those where, hey man, I've done this before. Why can I not do it here? Who are the customers that are willing to pay millions and millions of dollars every single year, have a voracious appetite, and will sit there and buy from me on a repeatable basis? And those are cash buyers. And, I didn't know then, I know it now, but back then, I had no idea that that cash buyers actually makes up 30 to 40% of the market, right?
Yeah.
That data was not out there. And so then we just started coming up with the processes to automate connecting with cash buyers, and then going through a very, straightforward process of understanding and getting to know them and understand exactly what they want to buy. And then keep in mind, this was long before institutional buyers existed, iBuyers, anything like that.
Right.
These are just guys and girls that are buying 20 or 30 properties a year, whether they're, landlord buyers or fix and flippers, whoever it was. And, the rest is kind of history. Once we figured out that we had this kind of static client right there that would buy from us consistently, we built some really big businesses because of it.
No, absolutely. And, I'm glad you put it that way with like the grocery store stuff. I know your story because we've known each other for a long time. We've masterminded together, and, you've got a really cool story. And I love how you translated that into for real estate as well. And the big thing now, especially with today's market, this was something that nobody foresaw coming. And I firmly believe with, doing reverse wholesaling with the way you put it, I'm big on, you need to have cash buyers first. Just like you were talking about as a wholesaler in another business, you need to find out what they want and then just go get it. It's not really that difficult. And you've got some amazing softwares that we could talk about here at the end so that you could help bridge that gap. But what are you kind of seeing like reverse wholesaling today in today's market? Like, what would you say to folks that are kind of like not knowing what's going on right now? They weren't here for the 2008 crash and they're kind of like on uncharted waters right now. Like, what's kind of the pathway that you're seeing right now?
I mean, look, this is, you can easily make this a lot more complicated than it's got to be, right? And that's, unfortunately, that is human nature. That's what people do, and they do it for a variety of reasons. It's very, very straightforward and very simple. And that's part of why I love it, right? There's a lot of elegance and simplicity. When you sit there and realize that there are two massive forces that are coming together in real time, and you can deny it and you can sit around and say, well, what if? But that changes nothing. The reality is this is happening, right? And what is happening is billions and billions and billions of dollars have been sitting on the sideline, and they've been sitting waiting because real estate is cyclical. We all know that that at some point the correction was going to come, and they've been waiting. And they've been waiting on for this dry powder, this opportunity. They were never going to buy at the highest parts of the market, right? Which the market has been so white hot for the last 5 years specifically, that they weren't going to buy at the top, and they've been waiting to buy at the bottom. And so now you have this huge pent up demand, which, by the way, doesn't need banks. They don't need underwrite. They need to deploy capital quickly. And then you have the other economic force, which clearly is coming when you have unemployment getting to the levels that it's getting, when you have an economy that is affected and shut down by outside forces, when you have entire industry segments that have been annihilated, wiped out, whether that is travel, tourism, hospitality, it doesn't really matter, right? Millions and millions and millions of people are going to need to sell their properties, and that's just the nature of what it is. It doesn't make it predatory. It's just a fact. It is what's going to happen.
Right.
And so these people need solutions. These people need inventory. You play right in the middle, and you can absolutely not only change your life, but change the lives of your family and your friends and everybody around you for generations to come. That is what's getting ready to take place. And that's why reverse wholesaling in particular is probably the least amount of risk, the most advantageous way to get, because going in and buying up property today, like unless you're a really experienced real estate investor and you have a very long-term view of it, it comes with an inherent amount of risk. How much are you willing to tolerate? And guys like us that have been doing it for a long time, there is a certain amount of risk we're willing to tolerate. We will be buying, but for the average person coming out there that doesn't know where the bottom is, you don't buy right now, right? You just sit and wait.
Right.
But it doesn't mean you can't make money. And the way you make money is you go off and you understand that you are officially in the business of marketing now, and you're marketing actively to cash buyers. You're getting them on the phone. You're really becoming their eyes and ears, if you will, of understanding exactly what opportunities they're looking for. And then you invest the other part of your day in doing one thing, creating that opportunity, not finding it, but creating it, right? Literally spending the time to go off and market to sellers and go out there and do what you need to do to create that opportunity, and then just put those two together. And there's plenty of money to be made right there. I mean, there will be billions and billions of dollars that come in cash into the real estate market just over the next 12 to 18 months.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm sure you remember back in 2011, 2012, the hedge funds were just buying up properties left and right in like Atlanta, Tampa, other parts of the country.
And they didn't know what the hell they were even doing then. Now think about it, right? Now they actually have the resources, they have the models, they have the teams, they have these. Back when all that was going on, I mean, you and I remember it very, very clearly that they had no idea what the hell they were even doing. They just were trying to get money deployed. Now they're just actually businesses, right?
Yeah.
These are entire functioning departments of these huge institutions, much less, functioning, huge companies that stand alone. And that they're going to buy, I mean, you look at somebody like Imitation Homes that'll buy 100,000 houses this year. Yep. That's unbelievable. I mean, when you think about those opportunities did not exist when we, were going through the recession at the time. They were just getting their footing. Yeah,
because most of them were Wall Street guys, and they're in and out on trades really quickly, and they really didn't understand that real estate's more of a longer play more than a short play, like you do with stocks and trading and all that kind of stuff. But now, they're big. They've got these businesses set up. Blackstone is constantly buying. We've got other hedge funds that we're seeing that are buying. Let me ask you this: with everything that's going on in the marketplace right now, I know you don't have a crystal ball. You're not foreseeing the future, but having been through the 2008 recession, what are you kind of making of all of this, especially with unemployment? Gosh, I think it's 22 million plus people have filed for unemployment. The stimulus money has already gone out. They just approved $484 billion the other day. Are you thinking we're going to be circling back to a potential short sales, foreclosures, HUDs, tax delinquencies?
I really don't think, as you said, I don't have a crystal ball. Here's what I know, is that this will be different than 2008.
Yeah,
and
the
key differences are, in my mind, that namely what we just talked about, is that the mechanisms were not in place to handle all of the inventory that came on the market. And so what happened in that scenario was suddenly foreclosures got pushed through, which then made an entire housing market start to collapse. Right now, all of a sudden we've got short sales and REOs, et cetera, all the way down the line, right? I don't think that's going to happen again. And the reason I don't think that's going to happen is because banks now have a mechanism to move large tranches of inventory through these institutions off the books, right? And literally, I mean, they can go through the processes, they can work out what they need to work out, but they can sell that paper and move quickly in other directions. Now, that's not foolproof. I think there's still going to be a lot of foreclosures. I still think there's going to be REOs. But I don't think we're going to see it at the levels we saw before, because there's just another way to move that inventory that just wasn't there before. And I think that there is a great deal of concern that housing cannot, the smart people would try to prevent housing from collapsing as well, right?
Right.
Because that would be we would not be talking about pandemic anymore. We would be talking about a depression, right? At that point, this would be a whole nother ballgame if the entire house starts to collapse, right? So they need to protect housing. They're going to do it. I think we're going to do what they can to protect housing. And the easiest way to do that is keep those foreclosures out of the retail market as best as they can, which won't bring down property values all around us. And then, now we have this whole shit show that we had before.
Right. Yeah. Cause it was rapid appreciation. Adjustable rate mortgages were expiring, and people's interest rates were going from 5.5 to 8.5 literally overnight, and payments, they weren't able to afford them. So I agree with you. It's not going to be like anything that we saw prior. Because the mortgage industry has just completely tightened up their lending and has restricted subprime loans. So it's kind of circling back to the whole reverse wholesaling thing. Now that we kind of talked about maybe like what's coming, you talked about billions, and I agree with you. I think there's going to be tons of cash that's going to be coming in. A lot of the transactions are going to be bought by investors, especially the distressed properties. Where do you think, where's a really good idea, place for folks to kind of network, kind of meet folks, and kind of try and basically get shoulder to shoulder with some folks that have that capital, and maybe tell them what they're looking for, and they could go out and find out what that is?
Well, I'll give you a couple things. One, I think that again, what is different about now is that data. And we were kind of at the forefront of that back in 2008 and 2009 when we came out with Find Cash Buyers Now and had figured out how to crack that nut and go and find cash buyers using public data and basically cleaning up data and effectively selling it. None of that existed back then, right? Now we live in a different world where data has become kind of front and center to what goes on in the real estate investing space, right? So now, when we did the cash buyers, that kind of set that ball rolling. Then there was private lenders, and then we came up with the vacant thing. And now there's a lot of other opportunities out there when it comes to data. So number one, the easiest way to go about that today is certainly to use data that will tell you who all of the cash buyers are in any market in the country. I mean, if it's not our service, there are plenty of other services out there that you can easily access these databases, and they will clearly show you these are the people paying cash in this particular area and the price they're paying. Here's their contact information. Here's their phone number. Here's their email address. I mean, it cannot get much easier than that, right? I mean, outside of actually making the damn phone call for you, I mean, it's pretty straightforward today versus what it was.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, equally, I would also tell anybody that if you are a real estate investor and you're trying to kind of pull friends and family and other people over into this world, there is going to be an opportunity for a lot of people to pick up distressed inventory. And a great way to have that conversation with people is understand that when people lose their jobs, so they get laid off, whatever, they have, in a lot of cases, they have, corporate 401ks that are sitting and have been sitting for a very, very long time. But that money needs to be moved. And the vast majority of those people are uneducated on exactly how to do that, right? So educate yourself, and it doesn't take long. Educate yourself with how and helping a friend get their money moved from a 401k that is, an old corporate and get it moved over into a self-directed IRA. There are plenty of companies that we recommend to do that kind of stuff. But when you get it over, now it gives you the ability as an opportunity to sell them properties. Hey, I picked up a distressed rental here, a duplex, a triplex, whatever. I think this would be great for you. I know you just moved over $1 million in your self-directed IRA. You can pick this up for $150,000. It's going to make you $3,000 a month. Those conversations become infinitely easier when you help somebody solve a real problem that they have today. That is a phenomenon that is it has existed for a long time, but that is an easy conversation to have with a lot of people that are getting laid off right now, right? And they have some retirement plan. Super straightforward conversation that is very helpful, and it kind of leads you down that path. That, by the way, it could be the exact same conversation for private lending, right? If it's not selling them a house for cash, then turn them into a private lender. But you have really good data where you can contact people that you don't know, right? But that you clearly know are paying cash and absolutely want your help. That's the irony, is they definitely want you. And then you can also help people get over into the business through the second thing I just talked to you about.
No, I think that's huge. And you're really spot on with the data. I remember our mutual friend, Jason Medley, came to me when I was doing short sales with him, and he was my transactional funder. And he was like, hey man, Kent and I just did this. And I'm like, oh man, that sounds great. So this was 10 years ago, and you guys have completely refined. And I've personally, one of the things that I'll say is I've used your guys' software, all of them over the years, and they've always been really consistent as far as data. I've used others in the past, and some of the data with other providers has been stale. So one of the things that I have to give you guys kudos on is the software has always been pretty spot on. And I say pretty because I'd say 95, 98% of the data is very accurate. And that's hard to get, especially from data providers today. Some of the other ones I've seen like below 60%. So that's a huge percentage. I really like the software that you guys have because it gives you accurate and pinpoint information. So kudos to you guys on having.
It's the difference between when you've been doing, to your point, when you've been doing it for 10 years or you've been doing it for 10 months, right?
Right.
If you do it long enough, you'll figure it out. We've kind of had to figure it out because we were the first in the market and had a huge lead on a lot of people for a lot of years, and out of the loyalty to our customers, had to make sure that we were doing it right. We definitely have screwed it up plenty of times over the years, but after 10 years of doing it, we've got it down to a science now.
Yep. No, that's awesome, man. So there's ways for you guys to really get, your hands on some buyers right now that are actually buying transactions right now through Find Cash Buyers Now through Kent's program. And, Real Estate Worldwide, Kent's company, They have all of that on their platform, and we'll give some links out here towards the end. You guys can go check out Kent's website, see if that's something that you would like to get involved with. But Kent, as we start rolling up here towards the end, I want to just ask you, I like asking this question, especially to, professionals that come on the show. If you could right now, with what's going on, I haven't been able to ask this question to a lot of folks recently since everything has just kind of happened, but is there any key books or anything from an education standpoint? Because one of the things I don't want people coming out of this as, oh man, the market really kind of just, sucked for me and they're playing the victim role, because these folks can create their own economy. They don't have to be on the plane with everybody else. They could hit the ejector seat and they could be on their own plane, creating their own life. You're a really great individual that can prove that. You've created all these great things over the years, and you couldn't have done that by just doing the corporate 9-to-5 type gig, right? So right. What's some of the things that you would recommend for people right now that you're at home and things you could be doing things right now instead of binge watching Tiger King? So what would you recommend?
Well, I would definitely recommend that choose who you follow very wisely. To your point, making a decision to not actively engage with guys like yourself and getting on, podcasts like this, or getting on and watching. I mean, there's so much amazing content that is now getting deployed, right? Interviews like this, getting connected with the guys like me and you and others out there. I mean, you have to, the very first thing you have to do, right, in order to get to be wildly successful beyond anything you can ever possibly manage, is just hold yourself accountable for the company you keep. Right. And that includes stuff like this. I'm not just talking about the 4 or 5 people, in your world every day. At this point, our world has gone virtual, right? So this is the company we keep as much as anything else. And so surrounding yourself with people who are certain in uncertain times, I think, is very, very critical, is key, right? Getting around people that play into the uncertainty, into the fear, into the victim mentality, into focusing on the obstacles versus focusing on the opportunities, is very, very detrimental right now. I mean, and you become a product of that like that. Equally, the converse is true. You become a product of the company you keep if you are surrounded by people that just see the world in a different way and they communicate that effectively, right? And so, great. Like I had Ed Milet on when I interviewed him a couple of weeks ago. I did a very similar thing where I had roughly about 35 people that over 10 days come on, guys that are in my Rolodex, very, very, high level people, right? Jesse Etzler, Ed Milet, Frank Kern, Roland Frater. I mean, a lot of really, really big thought leaders. And you'll always notice how different they see the world right now than the people that are looking at it through that victim mentality lens, right? Every one of us, we're getting on there like, oh my God, this is going to be the greatest thing that's ever happened in our lives. Yes, we don't want anything to happen. We wish this had never happened. We don't want anybody to suffer. All of that goes without saying. But all things being equal, this is an opportunity to step into it and become the next greatest version of myself. Here's what you need to realize, right? When you're sitting around and you're thinking about all this stuff, the beauty of a market like this is the truth is revealed. And I've been saying this for years, that it's just an ocean of mediocrity out there. You can count on your competition's mediocrity. The vast majority of people that are in this space are just, posers at best, right? And as Warren Buffett says, it's easy to figure out who's swimming naked when the tide rolls out. Well, the tide's rolled out, baby. And you've seen real quick who's actually the business person doing the deals and in there grinding, pushing people, making things happen, and who the people were that were, going and renting the Lamborghinis and sitting on the cut and taking a cute little Instagram picture and doing all the other bullshit. Look, you be very careful of what you're doing here. You can count on your competition's mediocrity, which here's the good news in that, is that you don't have to be great right now. You just got to be in the game. Yeah. Because everybody else is running for the hills. Everybody else that was running, these BS companies and that don't understand their numbers, don't really know what they're doing, whatever the case may be, they have all run and they will continue to run, right? If they haven't gotten bled to death yet, they're going to very quickly because they don't understand the math. They're not business people. They don't know what to do, how to do. And so just by virtue of educating yourself and getting on here and then ultimately taking action and getting in the game, you're already winning.
Yep.
Because, you know, where you may have been competing against 500 people in your market 90 days ago, you're competing against 200 now.
Yep.
And then you keep it going, in another 60 days, it's going to be down to 100. So you don't have to be great. You just have to be in the game. You have to continue to push, continue to drive, continue to market, continue to get out there in front of people, because that huge, like I said, these two massive forces are coming, but now they have very few options on people that'll actually help them, because most people are full of crap.
Yep.
Now you can just be that. And again, that's what's so exciting about right now, is just how fast you can really set yourself up. And again, to your point earlier, I'm a great example of this. By the way, in 2007, nobody knew who Kent Clothier was, period. 2008, 2009, people start banging on my door like, man, how is your business growing through this? I don't get it. What are you doing? We're all going out of business. I was like, well, you know, I kind of got this thing over here where I figured out how to just deal with cash buyers. I don't need banks. All you guys were selling to people that needed 100% financing. I don't sell to those people.
Right.
And I'm doing 100, 200, 300 deals a year during this time. And everybody's like, what in the hell is going on? And that's how people started pulling on me. Teach me. Can you pull the cash buyer list in my area? And then now all of a sudden I build a software company, and then another training company. And then all of a sudden becomes social media and all this whole thing. So here I stand 10 years later, right? Certainly reaping and enjoying the fruits of all that labor that was born out of a time just like this. Like the next Kent Clothier or Amazing Great whoever is going to come out of this time, and it might as well be you.
Yeah.
And that's what you just got to keep reminding yourself.
And you did, man. I remember, you know, talking to you such a long time ago. You've always been somebody that's always been grinding and working extremely hard. It's not like you just poof, one day you appeared, and, you know, like some of these guys that are no longer, you know, around from six months ago, they started up their training after doing a couple of deals, and they're no longer in existence. Dude, even at the masterminds that we were at, you were always, you know, even working. You were listening and you were working.
Right.
It's just I'm always in awe, man. You're doing such amazing things. You're helping out so many people over the years. How can people get a hold of you, man? I know you've got some amazing stuff going on.
The easiest way, man. I mean, I'm not here to sell anything, but I'll just tell you want to connect with me, go to social media. I'm at Kent Clothier, right? Just my name on Facebook or Instagram. It's the easiest places to find me. You can also go to my name, KentClothier.com, connect with me there. But anything I can do to help you, your tribe, whatever, brother, I'm here for you.
I appreciate that so much. You know, this is great right now to get somebody on here, especially like you and your family have closed thousands of transactions over the years. So to get some insight from somebody that's been in the trenches for such a long time is going to be so impactful for everybody that's on listening. So with that being said, if you guys need anything whatsoever, feel free to reach out, support@jasonluchesi.com. That's SUPPORT JASONLUCCHESI.com. Kent, do you have any parting words for our folks?
Get in the game, baby. I mean, the time is now. You know, literally tattooed on my arm. I wear it every single day. It's what I firmly believe in. I think that this is an opportunity that you would be a fool, and you would be irresponsible, you would be reckless if you did not exploit it and take advantage of it. Do not be that person that looks back on this 6, 9, 12 months, 18 months and say, I wish I could have, you know, this, you got it right now. You literally have to sit at home and figure out the next moves anyway. Yep. So figure them out, educate yourself, get the information you need. And oh, by the way, I'll leave you with this, is that in 2008, you know, when we were kind of coming up, is the ability to do anything virtually did not exist. Right. And now think about this. You're sitting at home or you're watching this, whatever, and you can literally buy and sell a house in another market completely sight unseen with data and automation and tools that all did not exist 10 years ago. So all the excuses are out the door. This is it. This is the Super Bowl, baby. And it's time to get in there and make it happen.
No flipping excuses. All right. Well, Kent, thanks so much for being on the show today. Make sure you guys go check out Kent on social media, Kent Clothier, and you could also check out his website, kentclothier.com. We'll have those links for you in the show notes. But thanks again, Kent, for being on the show, my man. You have an amazing day, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye now.
Well, peace.